I've got cooked up a real mixed bag here of different topics, and it's might be a little bit like brain overload.
Henry Kissinger handed me a manila folder in an Applebee's in Cranston.
We're all happy.
You just signed your own death warrant.
Guys, look, we're all happy. We're all enjoying life. We are not on any chemical dependencies. We are not depressed.
I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton.
Our family. All right, folks, welcome to the Altered State Podcast. My name is Sam. In studio with me today is my brother and colleague, David, and my esteemed friend, your friend and ours, Houston.
Ooh.
Now, today, we're going to be talking about all sorts of different stuff. We're going to get into the Phil Schneider story, which is something we've been researching all week. This guy is a literal brainlet going around talking about political conspiracies and aliens and intrigue. Very interesting stuff. We'll get into that here after this first segment. We're gonna be doing a live reaction to probably the greatest YouTube channel in conspiracy / UFO
I would just say
circles.
ever. I'd just say the best YouTube channel, period.
Are you sure about that? Because I'd be willing to bet that, but I mean,
Sometimes a man's just got to take a leap of faith and say, yes, this conspiracy channel is the best prime content that YouTube has to offer.
It absolutely. I mean, let's just say this: when you get a text-to-speech bot saying and narrating your videos, that's when you know it's probably the best.
You know it's
content out
legitimate because the person's too scared to record their real voice, which probably sounds like this.
That's the main thing with these conspiracy theory videos that I love is that they try to maintain this kind of secrecy, where they use the text-to-speech bots. But
this video was edited deep in the bowels of my mother-in-law's basement.
Where no woman has gone before.
So, let's get into the show, fellas. So the name of this video is Adele caught shape-shifting into 8-foot reptilian in New Zealand.
Whom among us has
all right, so I mean, sounds pretty plausible. I mean, this is like a real news
Sounds
report.
legit.
If there's video evidence, then there's no way it can be faked.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Now I'll flash the photo here that they have on screen for you, but let's first of all see the opening.
What's the thumbnail?
Oh, the thumb. Yeah, I'll flash the thumbnail up on screen here. It's pretty amazing. So here we go. We're gonna start the video. Amazing Windows Movie Maker opening.
Adele shape-shifted into an 8-foot reptilian backstage at Auckland's Mount Smart Stadium after the final concert of her world tour, according to shocked fans and a reporter from the New Zealand Herald. The 10 super fans, invited backstage to meet Adele after her final New Zealand
They're getting
show.
like the most unflattering pictures ever.
Yeah, okay, so the 10 super fans witnessed her shapeshift. Look, I don't want to be hateful or anything, but she probably just loosened her girdle. I mean, I don't want to be hateful here, but like that's probably what's going on.
Hey, that's considered shape-shifting, okay?
Yeah, I mean, in some way, in a roundabout
Listen,
way.
the girdle is for back support, okay?
All right, let's continue.
Got more than they bargained for when the singer shape-shifted into a massive, at least 8 or 9 feet tall, powerfully built reptilian with
She just
greenish
grew.
Okay, so it's not just that she's like shape-shifting outward.
She looks slightly different. It's nothing like that.
She's shape-shifting into a 9-foot tall
Upward.
being.
I like to think that they just saw Yao Ming
How-
come out.
how
and they
tall
were like,
is
Oh,
Adele?
that's Adele.
How tall is she?
She's like 4'10", right?
She's extremely short.
Yeah, if you could look that up.
She's short and stout.
I'm gonna get a fact check on that.
Yeah, like
Tip
she
her
can't-
over and pour her out.
She can't be more. She can't be more than like what, like 5 foot, 5 foot.
I'm looking it up.
6 maybe.
But all woman.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see
Okay,
here.
5'9".
Wow.
She's the average male height.
She's a woman. No, the average male height is 5'10", right?
I thought it was 5'9".
That's the average female height. No, maybe.
No, average female height's 5'4".
Okay. Ben,
right, so-
Ben Shapiro size.
You mean 5'1"?
So she's a big old gal, essentially. Let's
An
continue.
absolute unit.
The weak must fear the strong. All right, let's go.
Reptilian with greenish-gray scales, to quote one of the witnesses.
Okay.
Jim
Oh my
Joint,
gosh, this
reporting
freaking photo.
for the news.
Look at this.
Okay, she's extremely pale, and it looks like she's in a sweatsuit with a hoodie over her head.
Oh
That's,
my. Look at this. This is her shape shifting.
I'm pretty sure this is just a shot from the new season of Game of Thrones. That's just one of the whites.
Yeah, it's like some wizard or something. I don't watch Game of Thrones. I'm probably speaking out of school here.
There are no wizards, okay? There are only wizardesses.
You mean witches?
There are only wizardesses that transform into 8 to 9 foot tall reptilian beings.
Yeah, basically.
All right, let's continue here.
For the New Zealand Herald, wrote that the superfans told him Adele had flickering reptile eyes with a black stripe down the middle and scaly horns and protrusions all over her body. She looked shocked, like she wasn't prepared for the change, a witness told the Herald. Adele fan Jesse Warren also
First of all,
told
where
the
did you
Herald that
find
Adele
this?
said the shape.
I'm subscribed to this YouTube channel.
Oh my word!
That takes dedication.
Dude, like they release multiple videos every day.
Like, how can
like
something
this.
be so out there?
I don't know why these 10 New Zealanders are complaining. I mean, usually there's only one person fighting King Koopa, and they brought the whole squad.
Dude, like, yeah, I mean, let's just say this: it's probably a lot
Take
better
multiple
than.
systems.
I mean, hey, I'm not gonna crap on Adele's music or anything, but like, it's probably. I mean, seeing a shape-shifting woman is probably a lot better than going to an Adele concert. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, that's a good amount of entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, are you guys getting the feel that this is like these videos are like made in a sweatshop in Indochina or something?
I always get an icky feeling when I hear a text-to-speech video on YouTube.
It's like those Finger Family videos. You ever seen those?
Yeah. The only difference between the Finger Family videos and these conspiracy videos is that the people who make Finger Family videos are like paid. The people who don't make these aren't.
See, but here's the thing.
Like, how many
They don't
views
get-
does this have?
All right,
The people who make these
yeah.
videos are just paid in script, like fake money.
they're paid in Coach Red Pill coin.
Coach your Red
Wow,
Pill
I think
coin.
it has a fair amount of views.
Yeah. Okay. So
Just
we got
shy.
John
1 million
McAfee
views.
coin.
yeah, we got just shy of 1 million views at 957,000.
So you're telling me that just shy of 1 million people have viewed this?
yeah.
How?
Well, like I said, this is like a Korean
groundbreaking.
sweatshop.
It's groundbreaking stuff, you know. Like
Well, I mean,
They've got to have like
Okay.
thousands of pins in that.
if I had to guess, if I just had to guess, it's probably one of those videos that's linked to like a clickbait on Facebook. So you
Right.
probably got like a lot of old boomer women.
Yeah, you're gonna get
Right.
a bunch of boomers from Facebook looking it up. They're gonna be like, "Oh, this Adele chick shape shifting."
you know, if you trace the dark money from those Facebook groups, they always go back to the cultural Marxists,
and the Russian bots.
the Russian bots. Yes, the shills.
Now hold on a second
While we
about
were
that.
away.
About that. So it's only 10 people reported they saw it
Yeah.
out of how many people in a concert?
Well, they were VIP guests,
Yeah, they were backstage.
so you know that they were saying.
Yeah, but there's not just 10 people backstage. There's probably more.
well, yeah, but the other people are involved. Like they're part of the cover up.
If I know anything about international gigantic music superstars, is that they just are in rooms with 10 of their biggest fans who definitely
Listen,
would
okay?
not hurt them whatsoever. There's no
Listen.
security there.
Listen, okay, you telling me Jay-Z isn't just shape shifting back there backstage in front of all of his VIP super fans? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean,
Eminem shapeshifts from a white guy to a black guy on stage like every
he
night.
he shapeshifts
shapeshifts-
into an Eminem. That's why he's called Eminem.
I like to think that Eminem is the sexy green Eminem.
we're only 58 seconds into this video, guys. All right, we got a 2
We're gonna
hour
have to step it
documentary
up.
we got to go through.
We're gonna have to step it up.
All right, I kid around. Now it's a 4-minute video, 4 minutes 18 seconds. Let's step it up, guys.
Shape-shifting is crippling her and she can't go on until she learns to stop the reptile inside herself from manifesting itself in public.
No, okay,
Adele
okay, hold
said
on.
sh-
I know what this is. This is like a gigantic literary device
Yes.
talking about like schizophrenia or some sort of like.
This is just The Fly.
Dude.
Except he actually couldn't control that.
Dude, this is like a
This is Iron Man Tetsuo.
dude. This is
That's obscure.
dude. This is yeah. I got your reference
Wow.
there, bud. Dude, this is like a Cronenberg movie.
It is a Cronenberg movie.
Like,
Adele is Cronenberg.
Let's continue from 1 minute and 8 seconds, guys.
Said she won't be able to perform live or tour again until she learns to control the shape-shifting. Editor's note: the screenshots from the New Zealand Herald newspaper article were sent to us by Jessie Warren, an Adele fan who says she was invited backstage.
More like Jesse
According
Waters.
to Jess, the NZ Herald deleted the article shortly after publication. Warning readers to hold onto their hats, the New Zealand Herald writer claims that a number of fans who were invited backstage to meet Adele witnessed the British singer shapeshift into a giant lizard and then apologize for scaring them,
Sorry.
explaining that she meant no harm.
See, she's a
Listen,
good.
okay. I know you just spent thousands of dollars to see me VIP. Sorry for scaring you there. I didn't mean to turn into that giant 9-foot lizard person.
Sorry, all my New Zealand what are they called?
Kiwis.
All my Kiwi fans, Mark Smith and
I think we've pretty much gotten the gist
Yeah,
of this
we're
video.
good
there's
on that.
nothing else that they can throw at us that we won't.
I mean,
I love how she said, "Hold on to your hats."
Editor's note: hold on to your socks. This one's gonna blow them right off.
that was a good segment. There's a lot of interesting stuff there, some woke takes. We got down a few rabbit holes there. But look, you know what the video title is. We're supposed to be talking about Phil Schneider here.
Phil Schneider.
Oh, yeah. As I was saying earlier, this guy is the most patriot-hearted dude. And I'm not saying in, like, the good way, in, like, the worst possible way. But first, before we kind of get into his beliefs and his claims, let's go into a little bit into his background here. So, his father, he claims, is named Otto Oskar Schneider. And he claims that he was a Nazi U-boat captain that became a U.S. Naval Intelligence officer in Operation Paperclip that was involved in the Philadelphia experiment. And if you guys don't know what the Philadelphia experiment is, we might do an episode on this later. But basically, it was a top-secret theoretical physics experiment that the U.S. government did in the 40s,
Yep.
where they transported a battleship through time, through like a time portal.
Right. Yeah. Then the most recent effects that's had is that the Eagles won the Super Bowl over the Patriots.
Look, I'm not a sports guy. That joke flew right over my head.
That's like the most baseline sports joke anyone could make.
But you know, and this kind of ties into some other things like Al Bielek. All right, so this is another guy.
Well, let's talk about his family first. He makes all these claims about his family members being Nazi U-boat captains.
Yeah.
And then is
All right, hey, I know where you're going with this.
Yes.
I know where you're going with this. Let's hold that until we completely debunk.
Okay. I'll put that back in the satchel. I'm sorry.
What do you mean
I
this
know-
totally happened?
Yeah. Hey, I'm going in with the mind of a child. I just want to believe this. Okay,
Yep.
so that's all. Look, don't you try to rain on my parade.
Oh,
here, guys.
sorry.
All right, so Philadelphia experiment. Long story short, Al Bielek made all sorts of claims about this, and he was the guy who sponsored the lecture tour that Phil Schneider went on. Al Bielek is another one of these guys in the kind of the patriot / conspiracy theory UFO movement, and this guy was really big into saying that he'd like traveled 1,000,000 years into the future,
Right.
that he had seen alien. Like this is a topic for another discussion, but that's kind of where the link is with the Philadelphia
So
experiment.
his dad was a time traveling Nazi.
Oh no! That's Al Bielek. Otto Oskar Schneider was just a Nazi U-boat captain who was
okay.
taken into naval intelligence. And in one of his lectures, and I'll link this below, it is implied in this lecture that Phil received multiple alien artifacts
Right.
and materials and metals from him at like age 14.
Right, because everyone knows that Hitler and the aliens were, in cahoots.
How do you
they
think they got
absolutely
so powerful so fast? I
No,
mean, they
he's-
were in cahoots with the
It's true.
aliens.
they absolutely were. I mean, Thule Society,
The
all those-
Waffen SS.
all of those weird like flying saucer die Glock. That's another episode though.
Phil sounds like the kind of guy to say like, yeah, my cousin totally invented Velcro.
He really is. is. You know what he reminds me of? And, you know...
No, he would say he invented Velcro.
Yeah, he would. He's a complete narcissist. If you listen to his speeches, like, he is so into his own ego. He reminds me a lot of... what's his name? From The Big Lebowski, the Vietnam veteran. I forget.
Walter.
He reminds me a lot of Walter from The Big Lebowski.
Walter Sobchak or something.
Like the way that he looks.
Shabbos, dude.
Kind of looks like him. I mean, you could make the case it kind of looks like him, but he's also got like all of these out there beliefs. And later on, I'll explain when we get into the incident itself. He talks very similarly about the incident as Walter would.
In my opinion, he looks like J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man, and he looks like he's like, Parker, I need 10 pictures of these 7-foot aliens on my desk by Friday.
Oh yeah,
but like really chubby, like he ate like one too many like Subway like sandwiches.
He had a few too many cannolis.
Stacked on about 50.
Yeah. All right, so to kind of progress a little bit into the Phil Schneider story. When he grew up, he went to a bunch of different universities that he doesn't really disclose, and he claims that he was a gifted geological and structural engineer with application in aerospace and military engineering.
Yeah, I know what kind of rocks he was on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right here. Yeah, but no, like, and I have a few choice quotes here. Here's a quote from his 1995 lecture that I've linked below. He says, "I'm a self-taught metallurgist, kind of famous in my own right." And that's why the military hired him.
Yeah.
Was because he was a self-taught and he was just so intelligent that he was able to build these gigantic military
Metallurgy
bases.
is not an easy skill to learn.
I turned
either.
argon to gold.
That's alchemy, Houston.
Same thing.
Yeah,
I'm sure he literally thinks he can make something into gold if he tried hard enough.
Probably turn like blood into a person or something. He's like, hey.
So, and kind of moving further here, he was initially employed, according to his claims, by the Morrison-Knudsen Corporation. Now, I haven't done any research on this, so I might be wrong, but this is, I think that he's implying that this is like just a normal, this was his cover, this was his normal job. Right. But then, while simultaneously working with Morrison-Knudsen as a cover, he was working with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Navy as a geologist and structural engineer. And he was building these things that he called DUMBs. A D-U-M-B, a deep underground military base. And he'll say this in his lectures. He'll be like, this dummy right here was building DUMBs. In like some weird way to kind of make himself more human.
I feel like there's some strange message he's trying to get across as a subliminally to his audience, but I can't figure out what it would be.
I will assault your mind with subliminal messages.
I love how though in his talk he would make some like in his own mind groundbreaking statement, and then he would just like wait for the applause. And then like 10 people would clap, and he would feel satisfied and keep talking.
Yeah, it was like a Jeb Bush sort of thing. I was just waiting for the please clap moment.
Yeah.
It was it was actually very similar, but let's right here it says that he worked as a geologist and structural engineer for 17 years for the US government in places such as S4, Groom Lake, and Los Alamos. And Groom Lake and S4 are basically the same place. But this kind of...
He worked at both of them at the same time.
Yeah, well, it's a different level at the same base. But, like, the idea that he's got all this groundbreaking material is kind of fallacious because he just lifted a bunch of stuff from Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar was the guy who said that he was working at S4. And, like, that was the big Area 51... and I think he just tacked on Los Alamos because it was like another conspiracy. But after his SUPA career, he and his friend Ronald Rummel started a Portland-based UFO magazine. And, this kind of breaks any objectivity that this guy would have had, any semblance of objectivity that this guy would have had, like... He was basically a UFO conspiracy guy before he made these claims. So you can't really say that he was being objective and that he was like, I just had to speak out. So Ronald Rummel, he dies in a park in Portland in 1993. Tragically, he dies. He's found dead with a gunshot wound to the head in this park. All right. So Phil says that this is a shadow government assassination.
Right.
I mean, it's obvious. I mean, gunshot wound to the head. He's in a public park. It's obvious. He did not kill himself. He was killed by shadow government operatives. And he claims in his lectures that 11 other friends were suicided similarly over a 22-year period. So, like, this Ronald Rummel was just kind of the latest in a series of people that he was blaming the government on, essentially. And I really don't think that these other 11 guys existed.
Even exist, yeah. There's a lot of stuff this guy says that I don't think even exists.
Have faith, David.
I mean, golly.
You just gotta believe him. I mean, look at that face. You know, he's the kind of guy
He's
you
a
can
saint.
trust.
Yeah.
This is the crown jewel of the Phil Schneider story. This is the
Yeah.
main point everybody brings up. This is the Dulce incident.
Ooh.
All right, so he was contracted by the U.S. government to do all this boring, deep underground military bases. He said that they were using these tools which would
They're like
in
lasers.
his words, they would deflagrate, vitrify, and make into ashy substance, and then melt the surface.
Weren't
And
they
that's
lasers?
that's what we do to the art. That's what we do to the rocks.
They're lasers. He said they like drilled with lasers, right?
Yeah, basically. Like,
Yeah.
People want to do things groundbreaking.
yeah.
Literally.
Oh.
I didn't even realize I was doing that.
Wow.
It just kind of happened.
That's
No.
good, David.
No pun intended.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah, nice job. So this is basically where the Dulce incident starts out. Is the Mount Archuleta subterranean military base near Dulce. Now, according to Phil and several other people in the field, this base was a place where alien greys and humans were cooperating to do all sorts of experiments on humans and aliens. And I have an article over here. Let me pull this up. I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag a little bit. I mean, we were gonna save most of this article for the end, but I think that it ties in here. So let's first of all, I think this we'll read the whole thing later, but I'm pretty sure this article was either written by a severely mentally handicapped person or perhaps a foreigner who doesn't know English very well.
Second grader, possibly.
Yeah, or second grader,
Right.
or you know, the average like Phil Schneider fan.
Oh.
But here's what he has, right? They basically say that at this base there were multiple layers. It's like an onion. There are multiple layers, okay. So like you have level 1. This is level 1 of the Archuleta base.
It's like Dante's like levels of hell. Is that what it is?
I mean, absolutely.
I'm still stunned he used the onion.
The lower you get, the more sinister it gets. The more sinister stuff happens.
Right. Now this is going to be this is going to be just kind of a precursor to this article that's amazing that we'll say after we finish the Phil Schneider story. But here is their explanation of the levels at this base. Level 1, for various repairs. Level 2, for UFOs and other ships. Level 3, contains government offices.
Bonus stage.
Okay, level 4, laboratories for human aura research, as well as for manipulations of dreams, hypnosis, and telepathy. For example, you can I'm quoting the article here. For example, you can reduce your heartbeats with delta waves, and you can track mind reactions with chips inserted into the brain.
You can go to sleep if you listen to people whispering into microphones.
It's like a Joe Rogan DMT dream machine.
First of all,
pineal gland expansion, decalcification, man.
First of all, what's the punctuation and grammar looking like on this?
I mean it's
paragraph?
not. I mean it's not too bad. It's basic English. I mean I'm not. We haven't even gotten into the bad stuff. Let's go to level 5 here. The level 5 says the witnesses described huge pots of liquids with parts of the human body, as in a horror movie. Here,
There's a little witch brewing up some stews.
yeah, they're all
some eyeballs floating around.
Eye of Newt.
they're all just
Not
clay,
enough eye of Newt.
They're all just clay pots. I mean, it's New Mexico, man.
Stucco.
Here are cages for men, women, and children kept for experiments. That brings me into level 6, or Hall of the Nightmare. Contains genetic laboratories. Every kind of animal and animal crosses are being tried. More humanoid creatures with more than 2 feet and 2 hands would have been genetically produced here.
I like to think this is just a bunch of researchers playing Pokemon Go.
It very well could be. I mean, hey, some of those creatures look humanoid.
They're abominations, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to make anime real. It's the genetically modified cat girls research is going on at the Archuleta base. They're just trying to make anime real, guys. Like, chill.
It's a bunch of pent up soy boys trying to make 3D girlfriends.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Level 7. Here would be over 1,000 people kept in cold stores. And I'll flash this.
How these levels go down really far. There's a lot of levels.
Yeah, how many levels are we looking at?
Well, I mean,
200.
There's 7 levels.
Okay, so we got
officially.
There's 29 secret
level
levels.
6.5 is where the bad stuff happens.
It's like, Phil Schneider worked on them all.
Level
Yes.
13.
He's
you don't want to be caught in level 13.
Phil Schneider.
Let me tell you.
Phil Schneider is the architect of his own nightmares.
Yes.
All right, so let's go on. So here's the testimony that corroborates, quote unquote, corroborates the story, is that a state trooper by the name of Gabe Valdez, he says that there were human experimentations that he can prove because he saw a cow in the middle of a field, and he went out there and he looked. It was like a cattle mutilation sort of thing.
Yeah.
And he looks in the body of this, and there is like a half human, half something fetus inside of this creature. I don't know. I mean, I guess he dug around in there or something.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
I need to look inside this.
Yeah, but like,
this cow.
what state trooper would do anything like that?
The best
though?
part.
Gabe Valdez, the true hero.
The fake.
If he's
trooper.
a real state trooper, then he showed up 30 minutes late to the birth of this thing, shot a dog, and then did nothing.
And this is a quote from him. He says that the animal, quote, looked like a human, a monkey, and a frog. It didn't have any bones in the head. It was full of water.
Was it like dead?
Yeah, it was dead.
Oh, so he decided not to take pictures or grab it?
No, he didn't do anything with it.
He was too scared.
When did this happen?
This all happened in like I want to say that Phil Schneider claims all of the Dulce incident stuff happened in like 1979.
Okay, so it's like he couldn't take a picture. Or...
Yeah,
Well,
he didn't
he
have a
could have
Polaroid.
Well, I mean, I guess they could have. See, Phil Schneider, here's another claim that he makes, is that the government is advancing, the technology, of the government is advancing at 44.5 years exactly. He did the math. 44.5 years exactly for every year of technological advancement in the civilian realm. So these
the
guys
government is just thousands of years.
no,
yeah.
but you'll hear that from ex-military people.
Yeah, but my point is that he's quantified it to 44.5 years.
Yeah.
How do you quantify a year of technological development?
What if he forgot to carry the 2 like that?
Yeah. I mean, these are the things that keep me up at night. I mean, like, what if he got his equation wrong? I'm not doubting that he's right. I'm just doubting that maybe he got his equation mixed up or something. That's the problem I'm having.
Yeah.
Well.
And in these 7 levels that Phil Schneider was the architect of.
The sole architect?
He wasn't the sole architect.
But
he was given clearance.
Oh, okay.
And apparently he wasn't told about the aliens. He wasn't told about them. He said he said in multiple lectures, like, I just thought I was serving my country. And then I didn't realize.
I was just building places where they kept humans in cages. It was nothing other than dang old patriotism.
Yeah, it's like.
But what are the chances though that he just got drunk and went into like some catacombs or something?
Dude, I don't
and
even
saw
think
homeless people.
Dude, I don't even think he was in New Mexico. Like, if you look, we're gonna debunk him later, but like, we'll save that for later. Yeah. Now, going back to the 7 levels here, it says right here that he was given the clearance to build these. So these places where all these experiments happen, that's Phil Schneider. He was the guy who was the head honcho, the straw boss.
He alone was
over
building
that.
these structures.
Yeah, he alone, like, he was out there toiling with a pickaxe for multiple
No, it
years.
wasn't even with a pickaxe. It was with his mind. He was destroying rocks
And
with his
lasers.
mind.
That would explain why you could deflagrate and vitrify
He is literally so powerful, he can deflagrate rocks with his mind.
Oh man, like this guy is he's incredibly delusional. I mean, if you actually like get into the medical reports that like his medical history after he died, his medical history was revealed, and he like had all sorts of mental like borderline personality disorder. Like he was like really narcissistic, schizophrenic.
Yeah,
but
that was just the aliens, man.
Yeah, they were astrally projecting into his mind, and
they botched the reports for him. They were trying to make him look crazy, so the truth couldn't be revealed.
After initial contact with, well, first of all, I think I've gone a little bit ahead in my notes here, but basically, he encountered an alien hive when he was boring into this mountain, which kind of creates this weird sort of, I mean, maybe I'm reading the narrative wrong here, but like the narrative is, as I read earlier, the official narrative, quote unquote, is that aliens and humans were cooperating and they were working together, but then Phil Schneider just
he messed it all up
and like drills into the wrong place and finds a hive of aliens, and they get so mad at him, and they have a war.
You'd think they'd give him a little bit of information, like, don't drill into this area because there's going to be certain things that you don't want to disrupt.
He's a geologist. He was curious. He didn't know.
Well, he was famous in his own right.
Yeah.
You know? He was trusting his instinct.
So the aliens, what are the aliens like? Like, what do they look like?
Okay, they're
they look
aliens.
like the Squidward thing.
Now, according to there's kind of a semi-canon to the UFO community where there's like some agreed upon points, and one of the most agreed upon points is that there are gray aliens.
They're always got to be gray.
They're gray aliens. There's that, but no, these are a specific race. But other people will say there are two kinds of gray aliens. There is a tall gray and a short gray.
And this is a tall gray.
These are tall grays.
Right.
And which means that, and there's theories, some people say that the small grays are like slaves to the big grays, and the small grays are just doing the bidding of these big grays.
Right.
The big grays are distant cousins of Adele.
Right.
I mean, but you could. There's a million conspiracy theories regarding the grays, and that could be a whole other episode. But basically, these grays are the tall grays that he runs into, and they're like the technologically advanced, super intelligent. Right. And I mean, they're super intelligent, but apparently, according to his testimony, they smelled worse than the worst garbage can. So I don't know where that kind of fits in.
Pheromones, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's science fiction. I mean, you can make any claim you want. But after initial contact, see, his crew runs into these guys.
Right.
He says that he hits this spot, like just imagine like a cinematic sort of thing where they hit the rock, and then smoke starts billowing out of this rock, right? And then out of the rock comes the 7 foot tall gray alien.
And his immediate reaction is to shoot it, right?
There were two of them.
Well, no, they started shooting. Well, I mean, I don't know. Look, he doesn't go into details very much. He just says that a firefight broke out between green berets, black berets, which don't actually exist.
I'm just gonna say it. Yeah. I'm just gonna say it. Hashtag Phil Schneider shot first. Okay, so look.
So
I'm a browser of the keyboard on 4chan. He talks about I carried with me a Walther PPK.
My dad's a Nazi gun.
Yeah, it's a Nazi gun. Okay, so it's
I thought he said P-38.
No, he says a PPK.
Oh.
A PPK shoots a 38 round.
30, yeah.
Okay, so this is an 8 foot tall being. He says he killed 2 of them and he says it's a 9-round clip, which by the way drives us nuts on the board because it's a magazine.
A clip, it's a magazine.
It's a magazine. Okay.
See, even Houston knew it was a magazine.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's a magazine, and this guy claims to be a military operative. Well, I mean, not military operative. He worked for the Army Corps of Engineers, Naval Intelligence, and he doesn't know the proper terminology. And he's carrying a non-service rifle or pistol. The PPK is it's like a trophy gun. It's not like an actual. You don't actually carry those.
He's gonna need some real boomer rounds for a pistol if he's gonna take these things out. I'm thinking 45 Colt.
Yeah,
I'm thinking Taurus Judge.
How I know his story is true is because in every piece of media that I've ever consumed, the independent hero always carries a different kind of gun. Like Togusa in Ghost in the Shell has the revolver. And Revolver Ocelot uses a revolver in Metal Gear.
That's actually a good point. Maybe he was high enough up on the clearance that he was able to carry the P-38 or the PPK rather.
The higher up you get, the worse gun you get, and so that's why the highest rank of general just carries a BB gun with him.
He was shooting a Tech 9.
Yeah.
So going back to the official narrative, somehow the aliens come out and there's a firefight. Now there was another guy. Now this guy, let's see his name here. Okay, so there was a guy who worked he was an alleged witness to these projects at Archuleta. So this is a verified source. See, look, this guy is so brave. He actually comes out with his full name, Thomas Castello, which means it's real.
Yeah.
Because he actually let his name out. He's just trying to get the truth out there. I know that this guy right here claims that there were tensions between the Greys and the humans on the base.
How did he know about it? But
Phil Schneider.
Phil didn't.
Yeah, I don't know because
he was blissfully unaware.
I'm just gonna look. He doesn't name the rank that he was. I'm just gonna assume he was a janitor.
Yeah.
Like, how funny would it be?
He knew because there was a distinctly alien smell. He kept having to clean up.
Oh, yeah, that's why he referred to them as the stinkiest garbage cans.
The worst garbage can.
Yeah, because he had cleaned a lot of garbage cans. He knows the foul odors.
All right. So Schneider was given clearance to deflagrate the rock, and long story short, just kind of bringing it all together. Gets into a fight with the aliens. He kills 2 of them with his PPK.
Because he's awesome.
He's the protagonist in this story. And he says that he encounters a particular alien Grey that's 7 foot tall that just stands before him. I think he says he's out of ammo or something. He's not able to shoot him because if he had ammo, he would have killed this one.
Yeah.
And then he says he made a gesture over a box on his chest. This alien, and a laser shot out that quote unquote cut me open like a fish. All right, like a fish. So, and it said that the laser was so powerful that it burned off his toenails and fingernails. He lost several fingers. If you watch these lectures, he's only got like 3 fingers for each hand, which is really weird. But he also says that he was cut open, like almost like a surgery, which I'm sure he had a surgery or something, so like he could point to the surgery scar and say that was like where he was cut open. Right. But then he said that gave me a terrible dose of cobalt radiation, which we'll get into cobalt radiation in a minute.
Did we ever go over the fact that he had said 2 weeks prior to the talk he had been shot in the shoulder by...
We'll
get there, David.
We're getting
there.
that
was like at the very beginning of the talk.
We're getting to the lecture tour. See, right now we're still in his narrative. We're about to get to the lecture tour.
Yeah.
All right, so we're almost there. So basically he says that a Green Beret saw him and in pity and like in a moment of heroism... dragged him to an elevator and launched him all the way up to the surface.
Gotta love our troops.
Yes, and it was at the expense of this Green Beret's life because he died.
Wow.
He said many men fell that night.
This is why I compared him to Walters, because at some point in his speech he's like, "There are many good men who died down there. Black Berets, Green Berets, CIA assets, they all died down there, 60 of them." And it's like there's
truly one of the worst things that can happen. CIA people dying.
Oh man. Let's see though. Like, and he says that there were 2 other berets that lived. But
Red Beret and Blue Beret, my favorite Rangers.
they were the Red Beret and the Blue Beret, and they're in a Canadian hospital. And they are not allowed to talk to Americans because, at least this is what Phil says. I don't know. See, look, he's the expert. I'm not. He says that they're not allowed to talk to Americans because if you talk to Americans, that means that maybe they could like kill you with a heart attack gun or something. So they're like in a mental hospital in Canada.
And one of them got surgery to look like the other one. The other one had bandages and said, "Call me Ishmael," and they escaped a fiery hospital.
Oh, this is a Phantom Pain reference. Well, and it says now speaking of red beret and blue beret, I mean, obviously these people
Totally
probably
exist.
they totally exist in Canada, but he's not going to tell you their names or what hospital they're at because Americans are not allowed to speak with them. So basically, I've already gone over the cobalt radiation and all that. Long story short, he survived. He's okay.
Right.
I mean, as okay as Phil Schneider could be, but he's okay. And so he keeps silent. So this is 1979 where this occurs. He keeps silent until Ronald Rummel, his best bud,
Is shot.
is found dead from deep state operatives. All right,
Aliens kill a bunch of people.
and that's
Asleep.
So the truth only comes out when somebody who's also with him and experienced all this stuff.
No, Ronald Rummel was different. See, Ronald Rummel, according
But
to
he knew
this-
him.
He knew him,
And he knew all the stuff he experienced.
yeah.
So he was a set of eyes that could disprove him. And then the truth is revealed when that guy dies.
I see where you're going with this. I'm liking where this is going. See, this is where this
See
is
what
where
I'm saying?
See, this is where conspiracies are made. Is where is in these speculations like this. So David is speculating. If I'm picking up on this right, you're saying that Phil Schneider murdered Ronald Rummel in order to keep him from talking.
I think that
It's
Ronald
possible.
Rummeld's clone killed him. Donald Rumsfeld.
So basically, he goes on a lecture tour that's funded by Al Bielek, and we kind of talked about him earlier. He was another famous lecture circuit, kind of exploited the prepper community and talked about how he was part of the Philadelphia experiment and he went to the year 1 million, and he knows of these doomsday prophecies from this because he studied history while he was in the year 1 million and all that and blah blah blah. So he goes on this lecture circuit and he is nearly killed several times by government assassins. And he shows people in this lecture that I'm linking. He shows that he's like, I don't want to gore you out, women, and he shows a gunshot, an apparent gunshot wound on his shoulder.
That he just hasn't had work done.
No, it's 2 weeks old, so I mean it's still kind of bloody.
Is it festering?
Well, no, I mean it's not festering. I mean, but it's like it's still kind of bloody. Like
Right.
maybe there's still a little bit of blood. Maybe it hasn't fully clotted. I don't know.
He was not going to let these government assassins stop him from making that sweet moolah.
Gunshot wound, more like Halloween department at Walmart. Zombie gunshot makeup.
I mean, it very well may be, but I mean, when we get into the debunking, it very well may have been a real wound. But that's into the debunking. That's we'll get into that. But let's kind of get into some of the claims he made about these assassination attempts. So 2 weeks prior to this particular lecture that I've linked, that happened in 1995, he says that he shot and killed a federal agent.
As you do.
Yes, as you do.
No investigations.
Killed a Fed. There was no investigation. He said the reason there's no investigation is because it looks suspicious. Because the government doesn't want people knowing about black ops and all that sort of stuff. So obviously they didn't try him for killing this guy. There's no evidence that he killed him. We're just going to take him at his word. Phil Schneider is the expert.
I mean, I trust this guy. I would let him watch my kids. I mean, I trust this guy. I mean, honestly, he is the fountain of knowledge.
He is our shining boy.
He's a supreme gentleman.
He's the best example of that Randian individualism. He's a beacon on a hill.
He truly is. He's an example to strive for. He's a hero too, because like his daughter was being kidnapped by a federal agent. I don't know how many weeks before this lecture, but before this lecture, he said that his daughter
This man has a daughter.
Yes, he has a wife. I think he has 2 wives.
Imagine the
or not in a Mormon way, but like he married and divorced. But
how many kids does he have?
I'm not sure.
Imagine the brain
Legions.
power. Imagine the brain power of that household.
Dude, it's got to be insane.
His IQ rubbing off on his kids.
Have you ever seen those Nazbol families and they're all skinheads? It's like that, except they're all holding up pictures of aliens.
They're all like
IQ of collectively 10,000.
They're all decalcifying their pineal gland and like they have salt lamp in every single room. Or salt lamps in every single room. But like I said, he's a hero. This guy.
Yeah, he is.
He rescued his daughter, and
He's a maverick.
He's a maverick.
Oh.
So he brings he has a pistol in his wife's truck. All right, a 22 LR light rifle. Yeah,
No, long rifle.
long rifle.
His weapons just keep getting worse and worse, but he just makes do. You know?
Yeah, he does. I mean,
By the end of the story, he's gonna kill someone with a water pistol.
so like in an action movie, all right. So like,
It's like I crammed that water pistol down that Gray's throat.
okay. So what happened was
It's like that M. Night Shyamalan movie where they die when they touch water.
That's another conspiracy. Is that's actually a documentary.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is that real? That's real. A real.
No,
Conspiracy?
it is now.
Oh wow.
We're living in the postmodern internet age, man. Anything is real as long as I say it.
That's true.
So, but like I was saying, right? Like, basically, this federal agent is trying to take his daughter out of this car. And he pulls the pistol out. So I guess the federal,
22.
I guess this federal agent's like completely aloof or something because he doesn't see Phil Schneider teleporting behind him. So Phil Schneider teleports behind him. I mean,
Nothing
not
personnel, kid.
yeah. I mean, he doesn't claim to actually teleport. He sneaks up on him and he says he forces that 22 in the back of his head and he says, "You better let my daughter go or else I'm going to kill you." You know, basically like that, like a movie. It
Yeah.
sounds like a line that Taken hadn't come out yet, but it was basically Taken. It was like an action movie.
Yeah.
And so
What do you think Taken is based off of? Let's be honest.
that's a good point. Okay, guys.
We're getting way off.
We're getting off into the weeds. I mean, I count on you guys to be good co-hosts, and you guys do this to me.
Hey.
Why you do this to me?
When the riffs come, they pour.
When it rains, it pours.
I'm just gonna ignore that. So, long story short, he says that multiple assassination attempts occur. He has lots of wounds that he shows off at lectures. All right, and he saved his daughter because he's the hero we need, but not the one we deserve.
What a guy.
So here's some of the claims that he made from this lecture that I'm just gonna kind of cliff notes go over. You can watch it. I highly recommend it if you're interested in this topic because it's really like a character study into the mind of a narcissistic madman. And seeing the people clapping at him, I want to believe they're clapping because they're nervous and they're, because he says a lot of.
It sounds like there's only 10 people clapping really hard.
Yeah, I know. This is why I call him a patriot, is because he's like, we got to talk to our elected representatives, and if they aren't willing to talk about alien disclosure, then we will have to impeach them or try them in treason trials and execute them. Like, that's the kind of language he goes that far. He's saying, he's saying we need to try congressmen for treason if they don't admit that they believe in aliens.
As I said earlier, this guy's a fully well-adjusted individual who has lots of knowledge to impart. He seems like he should be trusted with lots of things.
Yeah,
I've got
including
an offer on guillotines. I should email Phil.
So, he's always, that's the thing. He's like appealing to the right wing kind of prepper movement at the time. And say what you will about that. I
want to see that crowd.
I personally am cool with people becoming self-sufficient, and I highly endorse that. And people, not wanting to kind of take orders from other people and wanting to kind of preserve that way of that kind of rugged individual way of life.
I'm gonna homestead the moon one day.
Yeah. I'm cool with homesteading. Like that's fine. But he would go to these prepper cons and he would use these huge sweeping statements about free. We're not truly free unless we know the truth. That, and I'll say that quote here in a minute before we go into our next segment. But he'll say that kind of stuff.
Chomsky. He's just Chomsky.
See, that's where Chomsky got all of his ideas is Phil Schneider.
Oh, it's true.
So let's go here to some of his claims. He claims that a quarter of the U.S. budget is spent in black projects. Okay.
I don't even think a quarter of the U.S. budget is spent on military stuff. Like, it's a good amount, but
the black projects are essentially an independent taxing body, and they receive money from government operations and all that sort of stuff. And basically, they're not accountable. This is an actual thing, and I'm not saying that he's not right on this about a quarter of the U.S. being in black projects. I'm just, everything else he says is kind of loony. The black projects thing, I kind of I think that's true.
You would think that would take up less than average things like funding the military.
Well, they claim that the black projects are funded like through cocaine sold by the CIA and weapons deals and that kind of thing. And so that's like a quarter of the, according to him, that's like a quarter of the funds that you're receiving.
The CIA funds their Black Ops project, the Mars Contra affair.
And here's another claim that he makes that I think has some validity. According to Schneider, in 1995, there were 131 deep underground military bases in the United States. So I believe that. I'm fully willing to believe that. I think
like,
that
are there secret where like no one knows about them except for like
depends on how deep in the earth they're talking here.
Yeah,
there are 130 different basements that
2 inches below the dirt.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. Hey, look, I am very suspicious of his sources, and I don't think it may not be 131. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Government spends a lot of money on a lot of weird stuff.
That's true.
So, but here's the other claim. He says that there are 1,477 of them worldwide. So, that might be true.
They're all in Israel and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, basically.
That's why they dismembered Jamal Khashoggi. It's because he knew the truth about the Greys.
Dude. And here's
I don't think this guy really exists. I'm starting my own conspiracy. Phil Schneider doesn't exist.
I've seen video evidence.
Are you saying he's like a deep fake or something? Like this guy is like a CGI bot thing?
No, I'm just saying that there's lore around this guy, and the videos are all
Something's
fake.
not adding up.
Yeah, this guy does not exist. It's a different person at each meeting. That's why he's crippled in some meetings and not in others.
Dude, that's like a seriously woke take. That's like ascended level woke right there, dude.
That's why I'm here.
What else did he believe?
And then I told him there's more to come.
So with these deep underground military bases, he says that and this is his terminology. He says that they are connected to each other through magnet leviton trains.
Isn't that just
like
one big base?
That's. I'm not gonna get into semantics.
Starship Earth.
I don't know. But look, so these trains travel at Mach 2. So they're able to get from place to place pretty quickly. And they're magnet leviton trains, so they're levitating like a quarter of an inch off the earth.
Right.
So, I mean, like sci-fi technology, essentially. We do not have that kind of technology.
They're privatized, of course. Privatized Mach 2 railways.
Mick privatized.
The Mick privatized Mick Magneton train. Yeah. But, okay, so, and here's another thing. I haven't written this in my notes, but I forgot to mention. Phil claims that he had Rhyolite 38 security clearance.
What does that even mean?
Rhyolite 38 security clearance, which is like, he said, level 1 Rhyolite 38 security clearance. He says this a lot. Rhyolite 38 isn't real, and if Rhyolite actually exists, like Rhyolite is in reference to satellite programs, essentially.
Okay.
So it's he's
it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense even if it did exist.
Yeah, I mean he's mixing up his canon here. Like it's bad fan fiction essentially. Like that's basically all you could say about the Phil Schneider story is he's conglomerating a bunch of different UFO stories into one gigantic UFO story. So and
just take that as he got confused, jumbled up his words,
Yeah, he's just an old guy,
He's old. He's seen a lot. He's killed aliens.
Yeah.
He's almost been killed by aliens.
So, and that's true. Which kind of leads into my next bit here. He says that aliens will take over.
Of course.
By 2029. The alien New World Order will take over by 2029.
We got 10 years.
We got 10 years, guys.
That's all we've got.
We'd better live it up. I mean, because as soon as it's December 31st, 2028, I mean, That's all we got left.
Kanye will be beginning his second term.
Oh, I only wish. He makes this claim about... I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. He essentially makes this claim that the alien NWO is going to take over by 2029. And they're going to cull, in his words, 5/6 to 7/8 of the world population. In order to make...
Those are good odds.
Pretty, yeah, I would say so. In order to basically take the rest as slaves. Or zoo animals, or, whatever.
Right.
And he believed... And he later states that this would occur by the 1996 election. He says, well, he's talking about, we got to keep our elected officials accountable, but I don't even think that our elections are going to be around anymore by the next election. I think that it's going to be martial law. So
there have to be elections. Kanye's running.
Yeah, that's true.
He's going to be president.
Silence.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. I mean...
No lie, he's turning into Yandi this year, or last year. He's becoming full Yandi. We need the wise man.
But that's kind of beside the point. So you keep dragging me into these rabbit holes where I have to respond. And I don't even... Like you keep talking about Kanye, and it's like...
I only said his name one time as a quick joke.
Okay, well...
That's the only reason I brought up Yandi.
Okay.
Just for the joke.
All right. It's just a meme,
It's
guys.
just a little goof.
But here's another claim that he makes. He says that they use humans as sustenance, but he doesn't say like they eat humans. He says that they use the glandular secretions of humans as drugs.
Yeah, he's talking like oils and
or all sorts of different
skin grease.
Yeah, like that kind of thing.
Aliens put our our sweaty armpit sweat into their doinks and just
into their vape joints.
Yeah, they say that they use this as like vitamins and stimulants. Essentially, that's what he says. So basically, they're staying awake through their long drifts in space because they're taking human sweat or something.
That sounds legit. Why don't we try that? That's probably like the best stimulant ever. That's why Schneider stays awake all the time. He never sleeps.
He doesn't anymore.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he had to finally go to the big sleep, which that's a good transition into our next bit. Let's have a moment of silence for the patriot and hero Phil Schneider.
That's not
silence.
Well, I'm playing an
No.
anthem.
I asked for silence.
We need 10-minute moment of silence.
Okay, now that we've gotten that over with, thank you for being so respectful, Houston. I
have to honor our troop.
the Maverick.
The Maverick himself.
We need to... So, the lecture tour was unfortunately brought to a halt when he was found dead in January 1996 under suspicious circumstances. He was found strangled, some say by piano wire. Police concluded this was a suicide, though.
Of course.
Well,
of course, the police, because they're in with the deep state.
Well, what he said, he was of sound mind. He loved his family. He was happy. There was nothing going on. So, I mean, it couldn't have been a suicide.
Yeah, because he says right here that he stated in multiple lectures that he was not, suicidal or anything. So, yeah, he didn't. There's no way he would have committed suicide. But basically, his followers perpetuate this idea that he was killed for exposing the secrets of the ages. In the I think it's like Manly P. Hall or someone, as he would say.
Right.
The secrets of the ages. About like the dumbs and alien experiments, alien agenda, all that sort of stuff. Now, Phil Schneider had a lot to say about the truth. In his lecture, he says, "We must instill in our public officials. They must tell us the truth. If the truth cannot totally come out, what's the use in us having anything called freedom?" All right.
Wow.
So, I mean, very inspirational. But let's see how truthful. I mean, look, I got an article here, David. Hand me that. The one from Norio Hayakawa over there. So there's an author from New Mexico named Norio Hayakawa. And this guy has the most thorough and absolutely devastating debunking
So we're
of
gonna
the Phil Schneider story.
I can one up him. I can one up him immediately. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
So we're destroying Phil Schneider now. That's what's happening.
Hold on, one moment.
Disregard all of this stuff that you're about to hear. Phil Schneider is debunked simply by me saying, if they're underground, they're not aliens. They're mole men.
Well, no, but they're from outer space is the thing.
No,
So
they're mole men.
That is a good point. Why would they be underground?
That doesn't make any sense.
Why wouldn't they be living?
They're like the Clefairies in that one season of the Pokemon anime.
well, it's like
You
you
keep
can't.
bringing up Pokemon. What's the deal, bro?
Well, see, you can't make like a sky base because everybody be able to see a sky base. You can't make a normal base because everybody be able to see it from Google Maps.
Pokemon Go underground.
Yes, exactly. So Norio Hayakawa.
Pokemon go to the
underground base.
So Phil Schneider, this is so Norio Hayakawa rather has this elegant debunking, this vicious yet elegant debunking of Phil Schneider here, and we're gonna get into that right now. So basically, he has a website calling him a murdered patriot. I tried to look this up. According to this article from Norio Hayakawa, they had a website where they were memorializing him as a patriot. And Norio, his response is, if Phil Schneider is a patriot of anything, he's a patriot of disinformation.
roasted.
So, I mean,
Roasted. Cue the footage of Super Hot Fire dropping his sick bants, and then his boys riling up.
he says that Phil claims that his suicided friend Ron Rummel was in the Air Force as an intelligence agent, and that's kind of, they had a joint UFO deal where they were exposing secrets, blah blah.
Right.
They're both government intelligence people. But as far as records show, he was never in the Air Force, never. But then again, there's still plausible deniability.
Stolen valor.
There's still plausible deniability. Hey, look, maybe he was sheep dipped or something. Like he was never in the, but he's inducted into the Black Projects. You can never really know. They burned all his documents. Okay, so you have a plausible deniability there in the realm of conspiracy. All right. So Phil claims that he was suicided, but it's obvious. He put a gun in his mouth and he pulled the trigger. Okay.
Right.
The evidence is pretty clear. He killed himself.
Suicide.
But still, you could still make the case. I'm not. Hey, look, I don't personally believe it. Hey, you do you. You can still believe it. But the rest of this stuff is certainly not. It's not excusable. Let's put this in the words of Norio Hayakawa. The timeline doesn't add up. Essentially, so quote: take Phil's age and his time on various jobs he claimed to do. Certainly try and consider time at college for his supposed degrees, which never existed anyway, so scratch the college time and you'll see that he would have been only 17 years old when he went to work for the government. Phil stated that he did work in Dulce in 1979.
Well, and he said and I guess this would prove that at 17 he was a master at metallurgy and
famous in his own right.
yeah. So
He's like a really like a chosen hero anime character who's just really good at everything for no reason.
Yeah, he's like basically
he's a Gary Stu. He's a Gary Stu.
Yeah, he's basically a self-insert. He's got his Walther PPK and he's going around killing aliens. And he's saved by the Green Beret and he has to go and tell the truth. And he's a hero because of that. He's a patriot.
a
Patriot of disinformation.
Tell the truth 20 years later after his friend dies.
But he says that,
mysteriously.
So going to Phil Schneider's death, okay? So the claim from his supporters is that
He was
murdered.
Yeah.
with a piano
with
wire.
piano wire. Okay? So that's obvious, right? So like Phil Schneider obviously wouldn't have hung himself with piano wire. He was murdered because that's like a weapon of choice with secret agents. They use the piano wire in the movies.
Agent 47,
And that he was killed by government assassins, quote unquote, execution style. Whatever that means.
Right.
So the Portland Medical Examiner had a bit to say about this. It said that the report from this examiner says that he hung himself with a catheter tube.
Ooh.
My God.
Yes, it's terrible. I mean, it says that he wrapped it around his neck 3 times, had a knot in the front, and then he just slumped over in his wheelchair. So all of that laughing and all of that stolen valor.
Yikes.
And that's the end that we have for Phil Schneider.
Poor Phil, man. He lived in delusion, man. How can someone get there?
Yeah,
How is someone so full of themselves and egomaniacal that they get to where Phil got?
I don't know. And that's why I think it's such an interesting character study. That's why I got into this. That's why I got this episode, is because he's such an interesting character to kind of study. Like, what people
I genuinely feel bad for him.
Yeah, I do too. Because, I mean, like, you get into his roommate's testimony. We'll get there in a minute. But his roommates essentially had something to say about this when he was, like, 20-something. But going to back to the article from Norio Hayakawa, he says that he was shot in the chest by an alien weapon, right?
Right.
Phil Schneider did, that is. And, quote, let's see here. I can't see it. I got shot in the chest with one of the aliens' weapons, which was a box on their body, that blew a hole in me and gave me a nasty dose of cobalt radiation. I've had cancer because of that.
Let's break down cobalt radiation real quick.
Yeah, cobalt radiation is used as a cancer treatment.
None of us are medical experts.
We're not medical experts, but like a basic Google search finds out that, and Norio Hayakawa points it out in his article, cobalt radiation is used to treat cancer. So
it's radiation treatment.
And he already...
Basically, Phil Schneider was already decancerified by that. The alien probably cured his cancer.
I mean, it very well may have.
Yeah.
I mean, look... It fits in well with the narrative. Maybe he was like seriously ill. The alien cured his cancer, and then the alien came back or something.
Maybe that's what was happening. Maybe
it's an
he was
L.
like...
Ron Hubbard type thing where like L. Ron Hubbard like made aliens his therapists, but Phil Schneider just made his doctors who gave him chemo as aliens.
No, it's like, I sense you have cancer in your body. Let me fix that for you, and then he just guns them down.
Oh man, that makes the Dulce incident so much more sad if you think about it in those terms.
Yeah, he just mowed down a bunch of innocent aliens that were trying to help him.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that puts it in a whole new light, I guess. But I mean, and hey, it's just as plausible as Phil Schneider's original story.
Yep.
So going through all of those inconsistencies, the last couple of inconsistencies are that, I mean, like, it goes all the way back. His father, Otto Oskar Schneider, was not a Nazi U-boat captain. In fact,
he was an Allied U-boat captain.
Okay, look. Give me silence for this. This is the biggest grand reveal irony. He claims his father was a Nazi U-boat captain. Phil Schneider's Jewish.
Well, the last name Schneider. That's a Jewish last name.
Phil's father was Jewish, and his sister and his brother said as much in a letter, according to Norio Hayakawa, that
his extended family actually got mad at him for making claims that his father was a Nazi.
I mean, do we have to really say anything more about that? I mean, the jokes write themselves about that one.
Right. Yeah.
And
what was his father's occupation? Do we know?
He was Navy guy.
He co-founded Vice.
No, but I think this Phil Schneider story says that he was a Nazi U-boat captain that was taken into the American Navy and did naval intelligence and all that. But really, he was just a Navy guy, Jewish Navy guy. Okay, it's no big deal.
He's probably a janitor like his son was. You know,
may have been. I don't know. Look. By the way, not a janitor, a metallurgist in his own right, David.
Sure.
Give him that respect.
He was sweeping up the rock bits and putting them in a dustpan.
So, okay, I'm kind of going through these papers here. I'm trying to find the exact page. But, and I'm just going to read little clips from this correspondence between Norio Hayakawa and an alleged roommate of Phil Schneider. So... he says, quote, shortly after I moved in, Phil Schneider moved in. It didn't take me very long to realize that he was a liar. and I thought he was mentally ill. And in the email, he says, on his missing fingers. He told me he had lost them when he was working in Eastern Oregon as a lineman when he had some sort of mishap on a pole. Frankly, I no longer recall the details.
Actually, during the lecture circuit, he said that the reason some of his fingers were missing were because of the alien blast.
Yeah.
So there's two different stories on how he lost his fingers. There's
Yeah,
some inconsistency right there.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The most plausible one is the alien weapon.
I think so.
Yeah, let's roll with it.
It burned his toenails right off.
Yeah. Burned his shoes off, burned his clothes off.
Cut him open like a fish.
Said it burned all his hair off, so like I can just imagine like a naked mole man. It's like Danny DeVito in that clip in Always Sunny where he's like bathed in hand sanitizer.
The most the most unrealistic thing about this story is that a Green Beret would even think to save this grotesque cut open hairless Phil Schneider.
He felt pity on him, and he died because of it.
I feel pity on him.
He was a true hero. A moment of silence for the true hero. Okay, that's good. Good job. You actually stayed silent.
I
that
did,
time.
because he's a real troop.
So it says right here. So there was a famous chest wound that you see quite a bit in Phil Schneider's lectures. He shows off this chest wound. It's like a gigantic scar down his from the top of his sternum to his belly.
Right.
Okay. And that's where he claimed that he was cut open like a fish by this alien laser.
Right down the middle.
So it says in the letter, I took him to the hospital. One day I was talking to other roomers in the common room. Phil came down the stairs with blood on his shirt saying he'd been shot.
So this is the roommate saying
yes, this is the roommate.
Okay.
A story he quickly changed to somehow being inflicted by A story he quickly changed to somehow being inflicted by a passing car losing a snow stud which struck him in the chest, causing the wounds. No one presently believed him, of course, but it was certainly not the time for discussions of his credibility. I took him to the hospital. After a short time in the ER, doctors came up to me and asked if I had any influence with Phil. I said not really. The doctor said that he would like to keep him for a psych evaluation, but had no grounds to do so. I was asked to try to convince Phil to voluntarily submit. At this point, and having my own suspicions, I said to the doctor, "You suspect it's self-inflicted?" The doctor said yes. So that's another bit, and we kind of alluded to that earlier in the show. But Phil Schneider had a body identity disorder, and so he just wounded himself all the time, essentially, which is really sad. Which would explain the missing fingers. Which would
Deep-seated
explain
mental illness.
Missing toenails.
Yeah, the missing toenail. Like it's a really
The
sad.
missing hair.
The missing hair. It's a really sad story. A really sad end for Phil Schneider, which is why I bring up the best article written about Phil Schneider in existence. So this article, and I've linked it down below if you want to read it yourself, if you want to read along. It's called Dulcie Bass, Deep, Dark, Secret, and Aliens Involved. It's spelled like that, exactly how it sounds.
All caps on the deep, dark secret.
Yes. This is from matrixdisclosure.com. There's no author for this one.
I wonder why.
Okay, look, I could spend all day reading this. This is a 13-page article with a lot of choice cuts.
Get the good cliff notes.
But here are the cliff notes, all right? First of all, before I get into this article, I read another article just kind of going into the alien greys where they were saying that the alien greys were a alien dolphin hybrid, and that's why they were gray. And that's why they could communicate like with echolocation and stuff.
Yikes.
Oh.
I forgot to mention that, but that's like one of the weirdest claims I think I've heard while researching this. But that's beside the point. Let's go back to the Matrix disclosure. Here is a choice cut. These underground bases, tunnel systems, and their technology have been described by former soldiers, slaves of mental control, and characters such as Phil Schneider, who helped build them. Schneider is the son of a World War II German commando. Okay.
Commando.
Which is completely different from a naval guy, but let's roll with it. His father was captured by the Americans and taken to the United States to work for secret government forces. As in most cases, the children of Illuminati agents are raised to work for the same masters, and Phil Schneider had the task of building sections of many underground complexes in the United States. One day, when the engineer was in one of the tunnels... Okay. I'm gonna... Just prepare yourself. This is the best one. One day, when the engineer was in one of the tunnels, he was unlucky to face up to a humanoid, green, extremely tall, and bad smell.
Mini bad smell.
The way this is written, it's written like English voice actors dubbing over Japanese, like old Japanese like ninja movies.
Oh yeah, it absolutely is.
Tall, green, and bad smell.
Like everything, seriously, the way this is written out is, there's no paragraphs. It's just like every sentence is its own paragraph.
Right. It's a haiku. It's just a big, long haiku.
Yeah. This is, oh man, this next page is pretty great. So, Schneider had the chance to kill 2 of these creatures, so another one could shoot him with some kinds of laser balls to him. His life was saved by a gesture of heroism from the soldier who threw himself in front of him and collected the bullets. He collected the mini bullets.
Oh, you dropped these, Phil.
you mini collect bullet for him.
In total, 60 people have lost their lives in that battle against creatures from space.
Wow.
I mean, can we say anything
60
more?
people, many loss of life happened.
Send Bob and Van Gene. Milky Bob.
Ooh. Milky Bob.
Says, according to a researcher who worked in these laboratories, the results of the experiments are frightening. They are still frightening, is what he's trying to say.
Oh.
3-legged humans, half humans,
It's me.
half octopus, human, reptiles, lizards. The sounds of these beings leave very scary.
Octopus human sounds? Don't even get me started.
They still betray the look that they have and a constant, stupid smile.
These creatures, just happy.
Yeah, that's literally all I got with this article. Like, I mean, oh yeah, and the levels. We mentioned the levels earlier. The Hall of the Nightmare. It's all pretty amazing stuff. Pretty good.
Whoa, I just picked this up. It says the base is run by a council. Council is capitalized. The relationship with the CIA is always kept. There are 7 floors. Aliens use level 5, 6, and 7. Everyone who comes in there is completely naked and weighed.
Okay, I'm with you.
A code is given, and any weight change results in an alarm.
So I guess you can't go out on the weekend and have a little bit of extra sodium, retain
Yeah.
some fluid, or you're gonna
You
sound.
have to stay your exact same weight, or else there's a big alarm.
You're gonna
Big
sound the
alarm
lunk
bell.
alarm.
Yeah, honestly, that is probably the most red-pilled article regarding the whole
Based.
Dulcie incident. Is the Hall of the Nightmare.
So there's like no evidence there's a military base anywhere near
No.
Dulcie, right?
No, look, I don't know. There very well may be. Look,
It's
there's a
not
lot
full of aliens.
There's a lot of bases in New Mexico. Hey, I'm not
And it's
even,
not. And
look,
it's not 7 levels.
Hey, man, I'm not even willing to say that. I'm just willing to say Phil Schneider was lying. I mean, how would he know?
He seemed like a serial liar.
Yeah.
He seemed like his ego really drove the way he blew himself up and like.
Oh yeah, like he was saying stuff, and here are just some choice cuts from a 1995 lecture that I took notes of. Like he was saying stuff like, an FBI agent took me under his wing, and he said he's never seen a person braver than me.
You're the only geologist who really digs deep.
Let's see here though. Like, oh man, I forgot this one. Here's a claim that he makes.
This is a claim that he mini make.
This is the mini make of his mini claim. He says that he knew a humanoid alien that was a politician in the United States Congress at the time. I'm just reading this verbatim from my notes. With a giant heart, 1 lung, 6 toes and fingers, an IQ of 1200, a brain size 300 centimeters larger than a human's, has copper oxide for blood, like an octopus, and speaks 100 languages, both alien and human.
He's just talking about Ted Cruz.
No, I thought he was talking about.
that.
I thought he was talking about one of the Bogdanov twins. Myself,
Yeah, let's have a quick rundown here of this alien guy. But seriously, and here's another thing he mentioned. See, this is why he can't be lying, is because he goes into such specific detail. He says that aliens don't shake hands because aliens are afraid of foreign diseases.
He kind of seems like those guys.
Foreign diseases, hold on. Foreign diseases from space, like Ebola, AIDS, and hantavirus.
Wow. He seems like one of those guys at the hardware store that's so confident in what he's telling you and where the thing you're looking for is that you just buy what he's saying and you go there and it's nothing like that.
He's one of the guys that goes to Guitar Centers and shreds on the metal guitars. He's like, yeah, dude, I taught this to myself in one day.
No, I would.
He uses his confidence to make lies pass. That's what he's doing.
I think he just makes stuff up on the fly. Like here's a claim that he makes in the Q&A. They were talking about UFOs and are there other governments messing around with them. He's saying, yeah, Chi-Coms mess with them all the time. Russia is shooting down 50 UFOs a month, and they're piling the scraps from Mongolia.
What says he didn't do this to make people who kind of delve into conspiracies look stupid?
Oh,
and
then
that was my theory.
And then
was that the dumbs was the subliminal message.
And then
very well.
Then he fakes his own death.
Guys, I'm actually Phil Schneider myself.
Oh my gosh!
We must reveal it. Houston is Phil Schneider.
It looks just like him. I didn't even notice. No, but so here's my theory, and this is kind of a more black-pilled approach, but I think Phil was getting old. He said he had cancer. I think he just wanted to go out with a bang. I think that he just wanted to validate all of his weird theories and go out there and say a bunch of weird bull crap, and then have people follow him after his death and him have credibility.
Or he could be living in Jamaica with XXX Tentacion.
I like to think that
that's very true.
I like to think that when he tied the catheter or not, he was listening to the David Bowie song Starman, and there's a starman waiting in the sky.
What can you say about it? I mean, at the same time, the story is tragic as well as it is funny. Like I feel sorry for laughing at a lot of.
I mean, he was genuinely mentally ill.
Yeah,
this guy was not right. His eggs were cooked.
He was essentially a Terry A. Davis, but with like a better vocabulary.
He needed help. He needed help.
Wow.
And nobody helped him.
Well, I was reading the funny article to kind of be a palate cleanser.
Yeah,
and here we go.
David's like, and it was a tragic tragedy.
It was.
It was so sad.
Nobody helped him. He needed help. He really did.
Well, I guess that kind of wraps up the Phil Schneider story.
Troops lost their lives because the government, our United States government, lied, did not tell us anything about the alien threat.